Welcome back to Hardball. On Saturday, a gunman armed with an AR-15, it's an assault rifle, charged into the Chabad of Poway synagogue out in Southern California near San Diego, killing a worshiper and injuring 3 others, including an 8-year-old kid. The suspect, who's now in custody, was arrested a short time after the assault. Police say that there were indications his assault weapon might have malfunctioned. In other words, jammed after the gunman fired numerous rounds inside. Well, this weekend shooting happened exactly 6 months after 11 people were killed at the Tree of Life Synagogue out in Pittsburgh, joining a growing list of white supremacist attacks from Christchurch in New Zealand, Charlottesville, Virginia, and the Mother Emanuel Church, of course, infamously in Charleston. President Trump, who called Saturday's attack a hate crime, has been under renewed scrutiny for his less than explicit denunciation of the rise in white nationalism. In fact, in March, shortly after the terror attacks on those 2 mosques in New Zealand, the president was asked if he was concerned by the seeming rise in white nationalism. Here's what he had to say.
We see today white nationalism as a rising threat around the world.
I don't really. I think it's a small group of people that have very, very serious problems, I guess.
Anyway, according to recent data from the Anti-Defamation League, white supremacist propaganda efforts nearly tripled last year from the year before. So what's going on? White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders was asked what steps the president was actually taking to counter the rise of domestic terror. Here's what she had to say.
Can you point to any tangible steps the president has taken?
Again, I think the most important thing he's done is to embrace the people of these communities that have been impacted and to condemn this behavior and call it out by name.
Earlier this month, the Daily Beast, that news organization, reported that the Department of Homeland Security has disbanded, catch this, it's disbanded a group of intelligence analysts focusing on domestic terrorism. So they're breaking down any effort by the government to stop this stuff. And shortly after taking his office, the Trump administration cut funding to local organizations working to counter violent extremism, including that by white supremacists. For more, I'm joined by Khizr Khan, Gold Star father, of course, Khizr is, and Rabbi Chuck Diamond, former rabbi of the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. Rabbi Chuck, what do you, as a man who's a victim, a potential victim, whose community, his congregation must be really on nerves about this? Is this something that you sense is tangibly becoming a threat to Jewish houses of worship?
I believe it's a threat to all houses of worship, and I believe the question is not if this will happen again. I really, truly believe it's when and where. People are afraid to go to synagogue. I heard a story today of a young lady, a mother whose daughter was scared to go out in the hall to play during services. And those of us who grew up going to services know that that's an important part of the experience. She's scared to go to Sunday school.
What's going on is that, usually, all we have is history. We have religion, but we have history too. And we think, well, at times of economic crisis, and people are looking for scapegoats. At times of physical fear from abroad, we look for scapegoats at home, for fifth columnists or whatever. There's nothing wrong. Let's go to Khizr on this. I don't sense any major threat to America right now. The economy's humming pretty much. Why would people be all of a sudden breaking out as individuals and killing people because of religion and race or ethnicity?
Chris, thank you. First, I offer my deepest condolence for the passing of Lori Gilbert Kaye, and I pay tribute to her valor standing up to that hate. And to answer your question, Chris, this is Russia directed. They have a person that they wanted to be in White House. This president sits in the White House, aided and supported by our adversary, Russia. And that is why his condemnation of this violence and this division is half-hearted. And this hate and this division is aided and celebrated by our enemies.
Why do they want us to go after Islamic people and Jewish people and other groups? Why? And African Americans, obviously, Emanuel Church in South Carolina. Why do they like that? Explain.
First, that is the way they can sow the division, to weaken us, to divide us. That had been their goal, to weaken United States of America. This break up this union. The only way they can find is that this time around it is the faith. First, I thought that it will be only Muslims, but then came Charlottesville, then came Charleston, then came Pittsburgh, and now San Diego. As our friend Rabbi Diamond says, that people are afraid to go to places of worship. All faiths are afraid to go to worship. The only winner in this hate and division is our adversary. And I want those hate mongers and those white nationalists, don't become the tool of Russia. They wish to use you to sow the hate and division in the hearts and minds of Americans. Don't be tool of our adversaries.
On Friday, President Trump once again defended his ambiguous comments about Charlottesville. Kellyanne Conway called his defense darn near perfect. Let's watch.
When President Trump condemned racism, bigotry, evil, violence, and then took it many steps further and called out neo-Nazis, white supremacists,
Was his
KKK,
response perfect?
that is darn near perfection.
Well, sources tell the Washington Post that President Trump, amid renewed discussion about his less than emphatic condemnation, quote, is not eager to relitigate his response to the Charlottesville and is unlikely to give a speech tackling the issue. Rabbi, you know, as a member of the Jewish community, a leader, in fact, of a congregation, you know the history of anti-Semitism is long. It's worse at certain times than others, but it's there. I look at the Sri Lanka killing or the attacks on 3 Catholic churches over there in Sri Lanka, so far from here. It just seems that, what is it about going after houses of worship, whether they're a black church, a Baptist church, a Catholic church, a synagogue, an Islamic mosque? Why do they go after people when they're most close to God? Maybe this is a rhetorical question. When they're most fervent, they're most devotional, when they're trying to be really good people, at that moment, they go to kill them.
They're cowards. They're cowards. They hide behind their assault weapons and their bombs, and they attack innocent, defenseless people. And the anti-Semitism has been around, as you said, Chris, for a long, long time. And it exists a lot of times under the surface. But the rhetoric coming from our leaders has emboldened a lot of people to step forward and to be inspired by these shooters. There are a lot of other people I'd rather be inspired by.
Well, I have a feeling, I hate to say it, I'm not a Marxist. I have no other ideology except I study politics. I think Trump doesn't attack the hard right because he knows they're voting for him. Thank you, Keezer Khan. Thank you, Rabbi Chuck Diamond.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.